Hi, I am Erav Owen, and I'm happy to host you on my podcast, What's Your FOODIsh, where I meet the most interesting people to talk about their home, their childhood, family, and memories from the dinner table. And today, in this new episode, I'm happy to host Dr. Hélène Jawhara Piñer. Hélène is an accomplished chef and experienced communicator. She has a PhD in history, and her doctorate from the French University of Tours acknowledges her work in two intimately intertwined fields, medieval history and the history of food. And her academic work is all about food, culture, and heritage. Her skills as both a chef and a teacher have been frequently showcased at festivals and on television. Hélène's last book, Sephardi, Cooking the History, is the winner of Gourmet World Cookbook Awards as Best Jewish Cuisine Book for 2021. Hélène and I met last year when we hosted the launch of her book in Israel, and I must say it was one of the most interesting talks I've attended. And she's a member of our distinguished Global Advisory Board. So after all that, Hélène, I'm very excited and proud to have you here as my guest today.
Hi, Merav. It's real an honor to be here for this podcast. I'm so happy, really.
Me too. I'm very excited. So as we say in Hebrew, yalla, let's start.
Yes.
Just tell us a few words about where you grew up.
Yes, I grew up in France. My mother is French and my father is Spanish. So I grew up close to Paris, and I went to a university. I went to the University of Paris-La Sorbonne, and I earned a master and then a doctorate at the French University of Tours, where I did my PhD on multiculturalism through food in the late Middle Ages.
And a few words about your family, your parents, brothers, sisters, grandparents. Where are they from?
I have two sisters, and we grew up in a very normal, I think, family. I think I mean because in fact my mother and my father grew up in Catholic families. My grandpa from my mother's side was Jewish. He was Ashkenazi, but he was adopted when he was very young and grew up in a very Catholic family. So
Your grandfather?
Yes, my grandfather was the father of my mother. They were from Germany, and her mother her name was Anna Margarita Schwab, and she could not take care of my grandfather, and so my grandfather was adopted by a Catholic family and grew up in a Catholic family. And we never, my grandfather passed away a long time ago, and we never had the opportunity to talk about this with him. And then concerning my father's side, so they are Spanish, we are Spanish, and what is interesting is that, interesting but very common also, it's that when you talk about your Jewish background when you are Spanish, it's quite taboo. So my grandma, she's still living here in the Strait of Gibraltar. She is now 88. And she always refused to talk about our Sephardic background, and she told us that she never had any French Jews because she never met with any Jew in her life. That was quite totally impossible. So that's when I also realized that it was still taboo to talk about this. But what seems paradoxical, it's that she kept what we identify as Jewish practices. For example, she light candles on Friday night, but she doesn't know why. And she doesn't
She doesn't know, or she didn't want to tell you?
Oh yes, I don't know. Really, I think that she doesn't know, because we have a very good relationship with my grandma, and she talks to me, and we talk together like almost twice a week. And I think that it was really really taboo, and she doesn't know why she's doing some things this way, like lighting candles on Friday night, but then she does not pray, or she doesn't want to go to church, or she keep the house very clean every day, but even more for Friday. And for example, as we all know here, Pesach and what we call the Semana Santa, they always fall quite on the same time. So during this period, my grandma used to eat dishes that does not contain wheat, and she used chickpea flour instead. And when I asked her for this, she told me, "Oh, it's like that. It's like that. In fact." So we really understand that she has practices that her mother did them, okay, but she doesn't know why. And I think that as she is 88 right now, she doesn't want to learn more about it. But she's very proud. When she saw my book Sephardi, she was very impressed. And when in the book, I have one of the page is the menorah, and when I just show her the book, she told me, she stopped me and she told me, "Oh, I recognize this." And when I ask her, "Okay, so Abuela, why would you tell me this? Where did you see this menorah, this symbol?" And she told me, "Oh, stop asking me and just go ahead." So that's
Wow.
why it's quite particular. Yeah. That
Yeah.
Yes, I know that my
Interesting.
my family from my Spanish side were Sephardim, and I am Sephardic.
Tell me, what does the word home mean to you?
The word home, I cannot explain why, but I feel this in my heart. I feel more Spanish than French. That's quite. I don't know if my mother is going to listen to this, but
We won't let her hear that.
yeah, she doesn't know English, so that's good. That's good. That's a good point.
Mm,
But yes, home is for me when you are quiet, you feel very well, and you feel comfortable for everything. So it could be your home, it could be your house, but it could be also the place where you are, and the home in your mind. I mean, you have to feel free to think all you want to think about, and to feel and to
mm,
believe in what you want.
I can totally relate to that. And what is
Mm.
your earliest memory related to food and home?
Um, in fact, this is also very special food at home. I remember when I was cooking with my mother at home, very close to Paris. But now my cooking is totally different. I think it is at the opposite of what my mother used to do. Not concerning pastries, but concerning the main dish. I mean, I'm really remember when I was cooking with my grandma. What also seems paradoxical is that I could only meet my grandma like 3 times a year, but
Mm.
she told me how to make the dishes, and thanks to her, I know a lot of things right now, and I'm so grateful.
So you say that eating is a way to remember the past. Can you tell us how did it all start? I mean, why and how did you start dealing with food from the historical point of view?
Oh, yes. Eating is a way to remember the past, and it is meaningful because I think that when you eat something, and when you know about the origin of the dish and the history of the dish, so the dish tastes totally different. Of course, we all remember that when we were eating dishes made by our grandma, it was very good and it smelled very well and all of this. And I think that for me, I really remember when my grandma was making arroz con leche, or for example, of fideos, something like that, or chickpeas with Swiss
What was the
chard.
first one? The first dish you said? What was it?
Arroz con leche, rice pudding, rice with like a creamy rice with
Okay.
cinnamon and lemon.
Okay.
Yes, this is I think it's my more important dish. I really remember that really remember me how I spent very good moment with my Spanish grandma. And it's still the case, in fact.
Yeah. I must say your book, not only that it is really beautiful, but I found so many dishes there that I've never heard of, I must say. I don't even remember the names now, but it's a beautiful book and a lot of new dishes for me. So anyway, you talk a lot about the cultural importance of the recipes and mostly their apparent disappearance because of the religious persecution, and that we can learn from it about the anti-Semitism throughout history. I even remember you saying, I think in the talk that I was here, the neighbors' testimonials and helped the Inquisition identify Jews, since their cooking routine and types of food were made of, very different. Can you share with us some of the things you learned about that?
Oh, I think that, in fact, when I wrote Sephardi, I didn't want to really focus about the anti-Semitism context of Spain since the 12th century and onwards. But yes, what we have to keep in mind is that since this period, Spain was totally an anti-Semitic country. And so you can find evidences of this anti-Semitism in very different kinds of sources of documents, in poems and literature, in sometimes in treaties, and of course in trials from the Inquisition. And I think that if I can remember, I think when you look at the Inquisition trials, of course, the process, the trials of the Inquisition are anti-Semitic sources. So if I can just talk about other kinds of sources that are really anti-Semitic sources. Like, for example, I just remember a letter written by someone who was very close to the Spanish monarchs, Isabel and her husband, Ferdinand de Aragon. So this letter reports that the Andalusian city of Sevilla smelled very, very, very bad because of the Jews that were living there. And this is totally anti-Semitic, of course, because the Jews used to cook with a lot of garlic, and they used to cook with a lot of olive oil, and they used to cook with a lot of garlic and olive oil. And this is totally anti-Semitic. We have other evidences, for example, that say that in the city of Toledo, there were a lot of people who were eating eggplants, and of course, and they were Jewish, they were Sephardic, and they were called the berenjeneros, which means the eaters of eggplant. I don't know. I have a lot of different kinds of sources. I cannot remember all of them, but for other examples in poems written by very, very famous writers of the Siglo de Oro. So we can, like Quevedo, for example, Francisco de Quevedo was a very famous Spanish author, and what he wrote in several of his books was totally anti-Semitic, and he used to mock Jewish practices, but Jews were also mocked because of the form, the shape of their eyes, or the color of their skin, or the shape of their nose. But in fact, it's not only in Spain. In Italy, we can find similar evidences. For example, in the 19th century, in a very, very famous source, Italian source, written by Pellegrino Artusi, we can read that in the markets of the city of Firenze, we could not find any eggplant, because there was an association between the eggplant and the Jews. And what is very interesting is that the last part of the sentence has been removed. And this part of the sentence proved that, I just quoting and trying to translate at the same time. And the last part of the sentence said that this proved that in fact, it's a word. It's I don't know what the name in English, but when you use the word for different kinds of meaning, and it proves that once more the Jews used to understand easily the things, and there was a word that was used to mock the shape of the Jews also. I don't remember exactly, but we can say that in different kinds of sources until the 19th century, we can find evidences of anti-Semitic anti-Semitic context through the food. Yes, totally.
Amazing. Well, I mean, your books and everything you do, as a matter of fact, I think is about food, culture, and identity, which is exactly what we do at Foodish, dealing with the Jewish identity through food. And I wanted to ask, in a way, like, do you feel it influenced your identity, your life? Do you feel that it's, except for what you do as a academic work, and except for your work, does it like influence everything around you?
Of course, and it starts by what I cook every day.
You cook eggplants?
Of course, yes. Yes. Not only that, but
of course. I know. I saw the chapter in the book about the eggplants. I loved it. Again, new stuff I didn't know, because I love eggplants.
Me too. And yes, of course. But this proves the richness and how Sephardic culture is powerful, because when you study Jewish Sephardic culture, Jewish culture, and Sephardic culture, this is not only about cooking. It's like a way of life, so a way of thinking. So you have to take this as a whole. In fact, you think Jewish, you cook Sephardic food, and this has consequences in your life. And as we eat at least 3 times a day, of course, the cooking time is so important.
Yeah, I agree. So having said all of that, who would you most like to have dinner with? I mean, if it could be anybody, living or not, and why?
I would choose the Rambam, Moshe Maimonides, because I'm totally in love with what he wrote and with the person he was. He was so smart, and I really loved any moment I had reading his writings, and so yes, definitely. I think
it's amazing his influence. Just today, one of the guides from the museum just sent me a WhatsApp. He took a picture of one of the, I don't know if you can call it a recipe, of one of the that he found from the Rambam, and one of the things he's going to the university, and he sent it to me to show me. It's amazing how many people, everybody, that he impacted.
Totally.
It's great. Yeah,
I totally agree. love all what you wrote and his way of thinking, and yes, incredible.
And the fact that what he thought so many years ago, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yes.
What is your foodish? What is your favorite Jewish food dish?
My foodish could be, I have several dishes, but my foodish could be fideos. These short noodles cooked with mint and tuna. I think this is one of my foodish. This is a place that I really used to do. I really love.
I don't think I know it.
Dafina.
I need to come and taste one day.
And I really love hojuelas, so fijuelas. I really love this dish.
What's that? What's hojuelas?
Oh, it's like it looks like a flower, and it is totally rolled. And we used to do it for Purim or for the end of Kippur. And I find also this food is very interesting because it is a very important dessert in the Jewish Sephardic diaspora. So you can find hojuelas in Argentina, but also in Spain and in Morocco. But even if this plate could bear another name, but it's in fact the same dish. So, and I really, really love shakshuka. Oh, definitely.
My kids too. This is one of the best dishes that I know how to make.
Yes. Yes.
Although, really, I have three kids. Each one of them likes it in a different way. One doesn't like the red peppers. One doesn't like the tomatoes. I don't, there's nothing to it. And the other one doesn't like onions. So I need to make three different ones. But
three versions. Like that's okay. That's interesting.
Three versions. one dinner, three different versions. What does Shabbat dinner look like at your place? I mean, what's the tradition?
For me, Shabbat dinner. So you mean cooking? It's more.
I don't know. Is it cooking? Is it going out? Is it with friends, with family? Do you even?
No, not going out. No. What I am thinking about when about this is the making of challah. This is the first thing I
you always bake challah for Shabbat?
Yes. Different shapes, different tastes, but yes, and I really love braiding the challah. So this is really, I love doing this. So yes, challah, and then lighting candles, but it's not food, but it is really associated with Shabbat. And then I really like making fried fish, and with a salad, because it's dinner and it's by night, and I do not eat a lot by night, so it's very, very simple.
Yeah.
Different kinds of salatim and hummus sometimes, or trina, a lot of trina sometimes. Not a lot of chickpeas, but a lot of trina and salads, and fried fish.
Sounds good. And was any special holiday gatherings, special meals that you remember, or something that if you close your eyes and you try to remember, I don't know, from Pesach to Shavuot, any special thing that comes up to your mind, special dish, and who prepares it? Will it always be you, or?
Always me. Always me, yes. Or sometimes my grandma. But it was just quite special. I really, really loved when my grandma when she did it for this period of Pesach, she does what can I say? It's I have the recipe in the book. It's made with chickpea flour and Swiss chard cut into very small pieces, and onions, and they are with saffron, and it's very tasty and crunchy. And I really love when my grandma does this, and I usually for Pesach, this is one of my favorite dish. I do not do it every day, but almost every day. and other kinds of foodish during holidays. It could be challah, round challah for Rosh Hashanah, but I really like doing the bread of the seven heavens for Shavuot because I really love cheese. So I stuffed it with a lot of cheese. And I have, in fact, for Purim, of course, the hojuelas. And I love dates and figs, and so that's quite interesting. I really do a lot of dishes made with those ingredients, with those food for several.
It all sounds so good, and I must
holidays.
say, I'm so happy that you chose me to be the one you want to cook for.
Okay.
I'm waiting
I'm
for
going
our
to see
meeting.
you
I have
soon.
to come.
Of course, yes. Of course, yes.
Oh, I became hungry now. Okay, so listen, now we have, I call it my short questionnaire. Okay, I have 9 questions. Don't think, just answer. Try not to think, just answer. Okay. Okay, coriander or parsley?
Coriander.
Sweet or
Sure,
spicy?
yes. Spicy, definitely.
Salad or steak?
Salad.
Sharing or individual dishes?
Sharing.
Keep eating the cake, like we call it here, straightening the line, or stop at 1 slice?
No, the first one.
Keep eating. Make it
Yes.
straight a bit more, yeah?
Totally.
Yeah, I can relate to that as well. Breakfast or dinner?
Breakfast.
Over the counter or at the table?
Over the table.
Start the meal with salads or soup? Salads, I
Salad.
guess, right? Yeah, it sounds like it. And the last one, challah or sourdough bread?
Challah. Oh, it depends. Challah for Shabbat, but sourdough bread every day. Because I do my own sourdough bread every day. So
you make yours.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I will bring you one for our special dinner.
Yeah. I'm waiting for a dinner already.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, Hélène, that's it. Thank you so much for being my guest today. Really, it was fascinating and I enjoyed every moment.
Me too.
And thank you to our listeners for being with us, and join us for our next episodes of What's Your Foodish?